North Africa, 1942. An American Jeep and a German Kübelwagen face the same challenge. Soft desert sand. The Jeep has four-wheel drive, higher ground clearance, more powerful engine. The Kübelwagen has rear-wheel drive only, lighter construction, smaller engine. On paper, the Jeep should win. It does not. The Jeep sinks into sand, four wheels spinning uselessly. The Kübelwagen floats across. Its lighter weight and narrow tires distribute pressure differently. Rear-wheel drive means front wheels roll freely. American crews dig while the Kübelwagen disappears over the dune. In Russian snow, the pattern repeats. Heavy Jeep breaks through ice. Wide tires pack snow. The Kübelwagen cuts through. Ferdinand Porsche designed a vehicle that should not work. Desert and snow. It outperformed the purpose-built military machine in both. The problem facing military vehicle designers in the late 1930s was creating a light reconnaissance car that could operate across all terrain types. The vehicle needed to carry 4 men and their equipment, navigate rough ground, climb steep grades, ford shallow water, and survive combat conditions. Every military in the world approached this problem the same way: four-wheel drive for traction, high ground clearance for obstacles, powerful engine for speed and climbing, heavy-duty construction for durability. This was conventional wisdom. This was correct engineering practice. Ferdinand Porsche ignored all of it. Porsche received the contract to design Germany's military reconnaissance vehicle in 1938. The Wehrmacht had specific requirements. The existing motorcycle sidecar combinations were inadequate. German forces needed a proper four-seat vehicle. Porsche examined the requirements and made a radical decision. He would base the military vehicle on the Volkswagen Beetle, the people's car. A civilian economy vehicle designed for German families, not a military machine. The Volkswagen used rear-wheel drive, rear-mounted air-cooled engine, independent suspension with torsion bars. These were civilian car features, not military specifications. But Porsche saw advantages the military had not considered. The Beetle was light, simple, reliable. The air-cooled engine had no radiator to puncture or freeze. The rear engine design placed weight over the drive wheels. The independent suspension allowed each wheel to move separately. Porsche adapted this civilian platform into the Type 82 Kübelwagen. The name translates as bucket car. Kübelwagen. The body was a simple steel tub with minimal doors and no roof. Weight was everything. Every unnecessary component was eliminated. The vehicle weighed 725 kilograms empty. This was extraordinarily light for a military vehicle. The engine was a modified Volkswagen unit. 1,600 cubic centimeters, 25 horsepower. This sounds inadequate. American military vehicles used engines producing twice that power. But Porsche was not building a vehicle to compete on horsepower. He was building a vehicle to compete on physics. The crucial innovation was weight distribution and tire pressure. The Kübelwagen used narrow tires. This concentrated vehicle weight into smaller contact patches. In soft terrain like sand or snow, this created an effect opposite to what engineers expected. Narrow tires with concentrated pressure cut through soft surfaces rather than riding on top. Wide tires, the conventional choice for off-road vehicles, distributed weight broadly. This seemed better. It was not. Wide tires on heavy vehicles created large contact areas that rode on soft surfaces. When those surfaces could not support the weight, the entire vehicle sank. The rear-wheel drive configuration compounded the advantage. With power going only to rear wheels, the front wheels rolled freely. They encountered less resistance. In sand or mud, this meant the front of the vehicle stayed higher. The nose did not dig in. Four-wheel drive vehicles pushed with all four wheels simultaneously. When soft terrain could not support that force, all four wheels sank together. The vehicle became stuck. The Kübelwagen's unpowered front wheels rolled over obstacles the rear wheels created, maintaining forward momentum. If you are finding this interesting, a quick subscribe helps more than you know. American military planners designed the Jeep using opposite principles. The Willys MB Jeep weighed 1,200 kilograms, nearly twice the Kübelwagen's weight. It used four-wheel drive, considered essential for military reconnaissance. Wide tires for flotation, water-cooled engine for reliability, robust construction throughout. The Jeep was engineered correctly according to every military specification. It became one of the most successful vehicles in history. But in specific conditions, the lighter German vehicle performed better. North Africa provided the first testing ground. Both vehicles deployed to the desert in significant numbers. American forces used jeeps for reconnaissance, transport, and general utility. German Afrika Korps used Kübelwagens for the same roles. The terrain varied from hard-packed desert floor to soft sand dunes. On hard ground, the jeep's advantages showed: more power, better traction from four-wheel drive, higher speed, but in soft sand, the pattern reversed. British intelligence reports from 1942 noted German reconnaissance vehicles operating in terrain where Allied vehicles struggled. The reports described Kübelwagens crossing soft sand at speeds that seemed impossible for their specifications. American units encountering the same terrain found their jeeps required constant recovery. Crews learned to reduce tire pressure to increase flotation. This helped but created new problems. Low-pressure tires heated up, damaged more easily, required more frequent maintenance. German crews did not need to adjust tire pressure. The Kübelwagen's narrow tires and light weight worked as designed. The vehicle floated across sand that trapped heavier machines. Rommel's reconnaissance units exploited this advantage. They could scout terrain Allied forces considered impassable. This provided intelligence on routes and positions that should have been secure. The Kübelwagen's unexpected capability contributed to German tactical flexibility in North Africa. The Eastern Front presented different challenges. Winter on the Russian front tested every vehicle to destruction. Temperatures dropped to -40 degrees Celsius. Snow accumulated in meters. Ice formed on rivers and roads. Conventional military thinking said these conditions required powerful engines, heavy-duty construction, and four-wheel drive. The Kübelwagen succeeded despite having none of these. The air-cooled engine was critical. Water-cooled engines like the Jeeps required antifreeze. In extreme cold, antifreeze sometimes proved inadequate. Water froze in engine blocks. Engines cracked. Vehicles became inoperable until spring. The Kübelwagen's air-cooled engine had no coolant to freeze. Oil thickness increased in cold, but the engine could still start and run. German crews could operate in conditions that immobilized Allied vehicles. The narrow tires proved advantageous again. In deep snow, wide Jeep tires collected snow between tire and fender. The snow packed solid. It jammed against suspension components. Wheels could not turn. Crews had to stop and clear packed snow manually. This happened repeatedly during winter operations. The Kübelwagen's narrow tires cut through snow like knife blades. Snow did not pack. The wheels kept turning. River ice created another differential. The Jeep weighed 1,200 kilograms with crew and equipment. Ice that would support a man on foot sometimes could not support a fully loaded Jeep. The vehicle broke through. Recovery from icy water in Russian winter often meant total loss. The Kübelwagen weighed half as much. It could cross ice too thin for heavier vehicles. This allowed movement through terrain. Allied forces considered impassable. Soviet forces noticed. Under Lend-Lease, the United States supplied thousands of vehicles to the Soviet Union, including Jeeps. Soviet drivers appreciated the Jeep's power and four-wheel drive in many conditions, but they also captured and used Kübelwagens when possible. Captured German vehicles were prized for winter operations. Soviet mechanics stripped Kübelwagens for parts, repaired damaged units, kept them running. This was not sentiment. It was pragmatic recognition that for specific Russian conditions, the German vehicle worked better. The Kübelwagen was not perfect. Its limitations were significant. The 25-horsepower engine struggled on steep grades. The Jeep could climb slopes the Kübelwagen could not. The rear-wheel drive configuration meant less traction on ice and mud compared to four-wheel drive. The open body provided no protection from weather or small arms fire. The light construction meant the vehicle suffered damage from rough handling that a Jeep would survive. But for reconnaissance work in extreme terrain, the Kübelwagen's advantages often outweighed its limitations. Reconnaissance vehicles needed to go where enemy forces did not expect vehicles. They needed to operate in conditions that stopped heavier machines. The Kübelwagen could do this, not through superior engineering in the conventional sense, through different engineering philosophy. Porsche had optimized for weight and simplicity rather than power and robustness. Production totals tell part of the story. Germany manufactured approximately 50,000 Kübelwagens during the war. This made it the most produced German military vehicle. The United States built over 640,000 Jeeps. The American vehicle equipped not just U.S. forces but Allied armies worldwide. The Jeep was more versatile, more reliable in average conditions, and easier to produce in mass quantities. It deserved its reputation as one of the war's most important vehicles. But the comparison is not about which vehicle was better overall. It is about understanding that conventional specifications do not always produce optimal results. The Kübelwagen succeeded in specific conditions precisely because it violated conventional military vehicle design principles. Lightweight beat heavy construction in soft terrain. Rear-wheel drive beat four-wheel drive in certain circumstances. Narrow tires beat wide tires in sand and snow. An air-cooled civilian engine beat water-cooled military engines in extreme cold. Post-war analysis confirmed these observations. American military evaluations tested captured Kübelwagens. Reports acknowledged the vehicle's unexpected capabilities in soft terrain. Soviet testing reached similar conclusions. The vehicle worked better than its specifications suggested it should. This puzzled engineers who expected four-wheel drive and heavy construction to dominate in all off-road conditions. The British produced their own light reconnaissance vehicle, the Austin Champ, in the late 1940s. It incorporated four-wheel drive and sophisticated suspension. It was engineered to military specifications. It failed commercially and militarily. Too complex, too expensive, too heavy. The British eventually adopted the Land Rover, a civilian vehicle similar in philosophy to the Kübelwagen. Light, simple, adaptable. The Land Rover succeeded where the Champ failed. Ferdinand Porsche's design philosophy influenced post-war vehicle development. The principle that lighter weight and simpler construction could outperform heavy-duty complexity in specific conditions became recognized. Modern military vehicles still debate this trade-off. Heavy armored vehicles provide protection, but sacrifice mobility. Light vehicles provide mobility but sacrifice protection. The Kübelwagen demonstrated that sometimes the unconventional choice is the correct one. The vehicle itself became a collector's item. Surviving Kübelwagens command high prices. Restoration enthusiasts value the simple mechanical design. The air-cooled engine requires minimal maintenance. Parts are available because the Volkswagen Beetle platform remained in production for decades. Some restored Kübelwagens still demonstrate their capability in desert and snow conditions, proving 70 years later that Porsche's unconventional design worked. North Africa, 1942. A Jeep sinks into sand while a Kübelwagen floats across. American crews dig while German reconnaissance disappears over the dune. Russia, 1941. A Jeep breaks through ice while a Kübelwagen crosses safely. Wide tires pack snow while narrow tires cut through. Every military specification said the Kübelwagen should fail. Four-wheel drive beats two-wheel drive. Heavy construction beats light. Power beats efficiency. Ferdinand Porsche proved specifications wrong. He built a civilian car for military use. And in the two most extreme environments of World War II, it outperformed the purpose-built military vehicle. Desert and snow. The Kübelwagen succeeded because it should not work. That was German engineering. That was Ferdinand Porsche.